Hey guys, NintyFan1991 here, aka NintendoBoy17. Before I start, I want to dedicate this review to Vince Zampella, who is one of the two original creators of the Call of Duty franchise, with Modern Warfare being the second to last game that was under his and Jason West's umbrella before they left Infinity Ward, with both of them gone to found Respawn Entertainment, who brought one of the best modern Star Wars games with Jedi: Fallen Order. Unfortunately, just a few days before Christmas, Zampella lost his life at the age of 55, which is just too young. With this, I have decided on another game to re-review, being Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, which I first played on the Wii, just known as the Reflex edition, and since then, I have since played the original HD version, as well as the remaster. With that said, I hope you enjoy, and thank you, Vince Zampella. While I would far from call myself a huge Call of Duty fan, there was a very brief time where I did like the series a little bit. For me, there was nothing that could beat my first time with the series with fourth mainline installment, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, which I didn't even play until it was released on the Wii as the Reflex edition. Over a decade later, and a few years where I dropped the franchise after Black Ops 2, and obtaining the HD versions, how does this military shooter fare? Let's find out. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare takes place in a fictional 2011, in where Russia erupts in civil war, and around the same time, a coup d'etat erupts in the Middle East, installing dictator Khaled al-Assad. Our main protagonist, John Soap McTavish, is a fresh recruit into the Special Air Service under the command of Captain John Price, who was handling the Russian Civil War. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, the United States Marine Corps, through the eyes of Sergeant Paul Jackson and under the command of Lieutenant Vasquez, invades the country where al-Assad staged his coup and installed his dictator, hoping to apprehend him until a shocking incident happens in the area. More on that later. Of course, leading to a reveal that Russian ultra-nationalist Imran Zakhaev was behind recent operations, leading the SAS under Captain Price to try and stop him. While not something completely thought-provoking, unlike, say, Spec Ops: The Line, it is an entertaining enough story. But no game that has ever used nukes ever shocked me as much as this scene.
All U.S. forces be advised. We have a confirmed nuclear threat in the city. Nest teams are on site and attempting to disarm. I repeat. Everyone, hang on!
Imagine the horror on my face, seeing a nuke blow up that close in a video game. StarCraft never shocked me like this in the Terran campaigns until StarCraft 2, where they get more detailed with the animations. Civilization 2 never shocked me this much. Not even Fallout, up until 4 and the television show, would be able to capture the horror of nuclear destruction in media. And you can only hope no one has to witness that in real life. More so when you witness what happens after that, clinging for dear life, with fellow soldiers in the remastered version. Completely terrifying. Anyway, onto the gameplay, and Call of Duty is a first-person shooter where, in contrast to games like Doom, Quake, or even GoldenEye, you instead go through more of a straight line in a bigger war zone containing a lot of scripted sequences. But said scripted sequences add to the intensity of the campaign. Beyond that, while you technically have a team with you, don't expect any interaction with them giving orders a la Star Wars Republic Commando or anything as deep as Rainbow Six, as you are pretty much still blasting enemies with your own guns as the AI helps to open doors and shoot more enemies as far as mechanics go. No matter if you're Soap McTavish, Paul Jackson, or for one or two missions, John Price from his young days as a lieutenant, or lieutenant as we Yanks would call it, sneaking around Pripyat, Ukraine long after the Chernobyl incident. In any case, Call of Duty 4 has a lot of action throughout, but unlike most classic shooters sans Halo, you don't get a huge inventory. Instead, you have 2 guns and a knife, and will swap for other guns on the floor, which is, I guess, Infinity Ward's goal of being a tad bit more realistic, but when you consider a Spartan Space Marine had similar restrictions. Anyway, with all that in mind, the gunplay feels really good across all platforms. Perhaps not the most realistic despite the aesthetic, there are gun expert channels for that, but as far as mowing down droves of terrorists, boy howdy does it do the job. And to me, the Wii version remains a personal favorite of mine for that reason, with the Wii Remote and Nunchuk. Yeah, it may be a port with very downgraded visuals from Infinity Ward's base version, but Treyarch did a damn fine job porting what they could, and the motion controls of the gunplay are actually among the best of the console in my view, even with stuff intended for it, such as Metroid Prime 3 or Red Steel 2. Only second to, most obviously, the PC version with the keyboard and mouse, with traditional controllers being third place. Even though that does its job fine. Just wish the PC version had that as an option without modding, considering how Microsoft was pushing for 360 controller use on PC at the time. One thing one may not like about the gameplay is the health system. When you hear your character wheeze and his sight goes red, you take cover and give it time to regenerate. I don't mind it per se, but the older I get, I just end up missing health and armor pickups. But you can't talk the gameplay of Call of Duty or most other first-person shooters without the multiplayer. And there's perhaps the biggest reason COD sticks around like it does. In Modern Warfare's sake, it's pretty basic with stuff like Team Deathmatch and Free-for-All, but it's addictive. Unfortunately, I can't get footage from the online multiplayer from either the Wii version or the PC version, due to either shutdowns or no one gives a damn sans mods, but that's another video, so I can only go by the remastered version, which for the most part, some new modes aside, including Capture the Flag, which is also pretty typical of the genre, plays like how I remember playing it on the Wii all those years ago, except I finally get to experience kill cams, which tell you who got you and give you a rival. One addition I really like from the remastered version, bots. So if you want to play alone and try out the multiplayer, that is never not a nice feature. One thing I don't like about the remastered multiplayer, loot boxes. For obvious reasons. Don't get cocky, Activision, I already spent $20 US. The Wii version did, however, include a local co-op mode. Kind of. If you have a second player, the player will be your backup, but rather than get their own screen, the second player acts like a backup always on your 6, shooting who you miss like it's an on-rail shooter. It's interesting to say the least, but it's like playing Tails as player 2 in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 during the main game without the mystery, and it's easy to forget it's there. On to the visuals, and let's throw out the obvious. Yes, the Wii version looks the weakest compared to the standard HD version, but damn it, the game still performs fine, even with a lower frame rate close to around 30 frames per second. Plus, the guns still look damn good, and the environments on a standard definition TV look pretty damn close beyond visual nerfs. Obviously, it doesn't beat the visuals of the original game, but even that has shown its age in spots. And it's one of the reasons I'm glad I bought the remaster on sale more recently, because the way they updated the visuals looks completely insane on Xbox One. Granted, I was also playing this on a Series X with no specific patches that upgrade the game. When it looks this good with all the new details like updated lighting and performs this great, I can't complain. Plus, it also has some smaller differences like the animation for grass when you crawl and you can see your gun. Onto the sound, and honestly, both the Wii version and the base version sound great already with its guns and action all around. Great voice acting too. In the remastered version, which had some other changes in other aspects, but only if you squint or, like me, playing them closely with one another, the big change are said action sounds. My guess is that they wanted more realism in that. If you ever wanted to hear explosions or guns on YouTube videos, aka the safest way to hear those without earplugs, they don't sound as dynamic as they do in edits of movies, let alone games. It's not as fun sounding, honestly. Still, the music also sounds great, with many compositions led by Stephen Barton and Harry Gregson Williams. Overall, I still have a fond time with Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Perhaps it's nostalgia talking, but I still lean on the Wii version on preference though. As I said, nothing beats the PC version with the mouse and keyboard controls. I just wish I could still access the online modes in both, so unless you need the mods to restore them, you might want to go for the remastered versions, as changes aside, it's still Call of Duty 4 in its DNA. And to date, it remains the Call of Duty game to beat in my personal opinion.